Welcome back, everybody, to It's the Big Thing. It is Sith Council, and I am excited to have you back. The council is in. It's myself, and it is Steph, and it is Mike, and we are here today to talk about all things Star Wars. And you guys have submitted some great questions. We'll get into it in Jedi Survivor. We'll talk about that, the gameplay that hit. The Acolyte has the House of Dragon Rider in the room. That's pretty exciting. I want to talk about that a little bit more, but we're really going to dive deep into the questions that you guys sent along. People are asking about the Katie Sackhoff interview. Myself and Brett, we interviewed her on, it'll be the Monday Big Thing episode, February 27th. Full hour with Katie, as we are going to have that week of The Mandalorian, Season 3. We talked to Katie about The Mandalorian and other things on that episode, so make sure you're tuning in for that one. That's really it. Those are the main stories, and we got a lot of great questions for you. But if you haven't already, by the way, everybody, make sure Apple Podcasts and Spotify, we're on video on Spotify, so go ahead and check that out if you can. Patreon.com/TheBigThingShow. Subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 70,000. We crossed 65,000. And then we got Sith Council shirts. Hey, Brett, throw me that pillow, the new one, when you can. Whenever you find it, that's fine. The Sith show some class, and talk about how about not that one, the Top Gun guy. And look at that. We got a pillow.
Look at that thing.
Isn't that awesome?
Jesus.
I really like that. And it's both sides, which is, I love this. And that you can get that on TeePublic, so make sure to just hit Brett in the head with it. So that and more with Sith Council with myself and Mike and Steph. Let's get into it, everybody. It's the Sith Council show. I'm ready. You ready? Cool. Let's do it.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Sith Council. It's myself, Steph Sabra,
Yellow.
Michael Kalinowski.
Blue.
Does anybody ever call you Michael?
They do sometimes, yeah.
Yeah? It's like
Yeah.
when you're in trouble?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shannon.
I don't think Shannon's ever called me Michael.
Let's get
forward to it in
into
life.
it's Sith Council stuff.
Let's do it.
We got stuff to talk about. And the first thing I want to really get into here is this news story here about the Acolyte. You got something that popped up. Look, I've been screaming to the heavens that they need writers' rooms and they need people from all over the place to really tell these stories. And there's a story here, and this is from our buddy Miguel Fernandez over at Star Wars News Net. The Acolyte writers' room, it included House of the Dragon, Charmaine the Great, or de Grate. The upcoming live-action Star Wars series, The Acolyte, has been shooting now for 3 months, but we keep learning more about the people that worked on the series, and up until now, the only writer for the series we knew of was the showrunner and executive producer, Leslie Headland. We did know, however, that Headland had assembled a writer's room back in 2021 to conceptualize and create the scripts for the series, and we've just learned about one of the people in that room. Hidden in a different story in The Hollywood Reporter, which focused on Colin Trevorrow's next directorial feature, it's been revealed that House of the Dragon writer and co-executive producer Charmaine de Grate also worked as a writer and a co-executive producer on The Acolyte. In an interview with Black Girl Nerds back in the fall, de Grate confirmed she was working on a new Star Wars live-action series, but couldn't provide any other details, including the name of the show, which she referred to as Untitled. However, her name has been tight-lipped on Lucasfilm's end, even after revealing part of the producing team on the series right after the camera started rolling back in November. The announcement, which confirmed the main cast and featured the first official set photo from the series, included the list of producers and executive producers, as well as confirmation that Headland would be directing the first episode. No details on the writers or co-executive producers were added. de Grate wrote the 5th episode of the first season of Game of Thrones spin-off, which premiered last year to critical and audience acclaim, and was also part of the series' writers' room. She was also part of the CW's The 100. Her television work has made her a rising talent in Hollywood, and in addition to penning the script for Colin Trevorrow's upcoming Atlantis, she worked in Prime Video's upcoming series Daisy Jones and The Six. Okay, so this is, look, when you can add somebody from a House of the Dragon and not necessarily, I guess you're not leading with it as it's just kind of fallen from an article, but that's got to be encouraging, right? Because as you and I have talked about, not debated, but have different opinions on the fact Andor was your favorite last year,
Yeah.
and then House of the Dragon, right?
Yeah.
Or general top 3.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, for sure.
So me, House of the Dragon was my favorite, with Andor as a close second. So I love this news, and I love the idea because not only does it just take for the particular writing skills, because that show was brilliantly written, but it also shows that working on a show like that, when you're a writer, you pick up things on the set and on a big successful show like House of the Dragon, you also, and if you're an executive producer on the show as well, you lend your expertise to it. So I really like the team. I keep getting these silly comments of people going, "Oh, you better lower your expectations for the Acolyte. That show, it seems to be, it's going to be politically driven. It's going to be terrible." And it's like, the team seems to speak for itself thus far. And plus the subject matter of the Sith and all that. I'm on board with this one. Steph, is there anything I'm missing?
No, totally. And I think that we've all talked about like Star Wars needs a Game of Thrones type show, or even when House of the Dragon, where like the story, the lore is there. And I think that Andor kind of did that in that sense, like that sort of darker tone that needs to be done. And this is just exciting that it feels like they're hiring someone kind of like Leslie Headland, that you're like, oh, like you are in the right tone for this specific story. Like it makes me think that they're really thinking outside the box and what would be the best for this. And it's exciting because that show was so successful that, to your point, of course she's going to bring in points of what they learned or what she learned from writing on that series and then bring it to there. And then I just like the tonally, like what type of writer she is. Because The 100, I only watched one season, but it was really good.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know enough about it. What do you think about this, Mike?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, no, you guys have great points. And I don't know. I'm kind of like, I have a lot of friends that are writers. And I know that they might be working on projects that are like, not necessarily a right fit for what would be. A perfect example, our friend Mike Vogel, writer. Strawberry Shortcake he works on. And I have a good friend of mine who works on Strawberry Shortcake. But I know if they were to get a Star Wars show, they would kill it because I know they love Star Wars. They know the lore.
Right.
But somebody says like Mike Vogel from Strawberry Shortcake.
Like,
and
what the hell?
You're like, what from Strawberry Shortcake? But I
Very good
know
point.
that's where the work is for them. And I know they've got those great stories in them.
Sure.
And they're just need the chance. So I see something like this and I'm like, people are talking like, why would someone say like, oh, you got to lower expectations? Like, why? First of all, it's a great show.
Yeah.
It fits in the milieu of Star Wars.
You're talking about House of Dragons?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying people are. I think less about. I haven't seen anything of that. I was talking more so about. I keep getting comments. I say that Acolyte is my like most anticipated.
It's always been for
at
you.
all
Yeah.
because of where they're landing with it.
The period.
Yeah, and now the more stuff I hear about it, the idea that they're shooting on location and they're doing these.
It's more Andor, less Book of Boba.
From what it seems like.
What it seems,
and it also seems like we're getting this High Republic era of the Jedi where they're kind of. Almost like in Andor, where the Empire is the one kind of on the fat cats of the land. Like the Jedi are almost like that in this, and they're not really paying attention because they don't think they can be overrun. And that kind of start of it, if they go dark with it, I think it's very very promising.
Sure.
And when you add someone like this to say like, oh yeah, and then someone from House of the Dragons also in the writers' room. Yeah. I mean, the question always remains, like, and I always have this, it's not always a requirement, but how much of a Star Wars fan is she?
Right.
Doesn't mean she has to be, but it adds to it.
Right.
Leslie Headland is a major Star Wars fan. So that adds to it for
I think
me.
that's like a bonus. Gilroy, I don't think was a Star Wars fan.
No.
And we saw what we got. So I think it's just, like you said, it's a bonus. It just adds 100% to it.
And to add that, Gilroy, though, did something because, like, again, this is not a debate on Last Jedi too. Like, but if you compare to me, like, if you say, well, you can only watch one, and I think we're all on the same page here. Like, you can only watch one, Andor all over again, or Last Jedi again. One of them has to go. I'm throwing Last Jedi away. But out of the two of them, Rian Johnson is a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
And Tony Gilroy is not.
Right.
Right. And that's that. It's not a fair word. He's clearly a fan of what he's working on.
Right.
He wasn't like a hardcore fan and pay attention to those things, but he had a story that he wanted to tell. But the difference was, and this is something I brought up when Diego Luna was in here, the difference was he listens to when you do, like when he made the artifacts thing, and you have all these artifacts from different periods of the Star Wars lore. You think Tony Gilroy had any clue? You think he was the one going, oh, make sure you add this and that? No, he said, find the people that make
this
that.
scene can use some stuff, Star Wars lore. So who you got?
And then I'm not going to lie, I thought Brett just ripped a fat one.
I wish he did. I heard that.
You thought it was a fat one?
Yeah,
for a
I
second,
thought that
right?
was a really big fatty. Like that was on the earthquake
a
scale.
Big fatty?
Yeah, big fat
fatty,
fart.
a wet one.
Yeah, I thought he ripped one.
Oh my gosh.
We thought he was
fatty?
working. Yeah, we thought he was working on something, and instead, he's out there drilling.
He's
something.
working on something, but
thought he ripped
it
a
wasn't
fatty.
a fart.
No, it wasn't, unfortunately. All right, so we're all excited about it.
Exactly.
Thanks, Brett. All right, so the before we get into Jedi Survivor, we'll talk about Bad Batch. So they dropped 2.
Why did they do that? I know why they did, but
because
why
of the angle.
Okay,
Because
that's what I
because
thought.
they wanted you to be invested in this full story,
Yeah.
which I think was a very smart move.
Yes.
I think that this was what I was telling you guys about. When I said that there are a few episodes in this show that when it focuses on the story of what this all thing is about, with the clones kind of being pushed out and the intrigue, and they get a little darker, this is where the show can shine, and it does. And I came back for sure in this one. But this is, you guys watch it. I watched it a little while ago, but I loved these, and I knew and I'm guessing that you guys were going to respond to it, and you came in kind of talking about it, so I assume that you both enjoyed it, Steph.
Oh, yeah, I loved these episodes. I thought these were excellent episodes, and I loved what they played into, which was the clones and like the question of their place in it all, and how they feel about these inhibitor chips, and then the Senate questioning their place, to like if they can even vote on things, them not having a voice, and like that sort of question is really intriguing to me. And then like the way that they handled the politics, I thought was fascinating. And like this is how I think Star Wars should handle politics, where you raise these questions of like there's groups of people who just like don't want to be involved because they just don't want to know the problems because it's too many problems.
Right.
They just want to sit comfortably with where they are, which is such a realistic mirror on people in society. And then there's the people who say one thing that's bad and then they're like treason.
Right.
And just to see how the empire is like slowly taking over in this way and how the people don't have a voice, I thought was really, really great. And then I watched Alex Damon's video on it, and he had some interesting points about how if you look at the whole season, you see like maybe it was intentional to be a little bit frustrated with how the clones had these like adventure of the weeks, when really their place in the world is to be doing something bigger. And then you see them doing something bigger, and it's like, oh yeah, this is what you should be doing. Like kind of like Echo's problem from all the seasons being like, we should be doing something bigger. And then they finally are, and you're like, okay, finally, Jesus, this is the episodes that I wanted.
Yeah, this to me, Mike, is the full show that if you're going to do this show. And I also think why it might have benefited from doing like 8 episodes as opposed to the 16 that they do, because they can cut out a lot of the fat if you focus in on storylines like this. But I thought the storyline was about as Star Wars as you get, and it worked. And I think that even the idea of like in the beginning of it, where people are getting picked off left and right, and then the as Steph mentioned, the politics behind it, and the idea of, oh no, I don't know what you're talking about, and then like having that senator get involved in it. So I mean, what did you think overall?
Yeah, these were the 2. I watched them weird because we didn't have an episode, or we weren't going to cover one last week. I knew that, so that episode dropped, and I was like, oh, I'll watch it eventually. So I watched these 2 first, and then went back and watched the Wookiee team up one.
Oh, right. Which is great also.
I didn't really.
You didn't like it? Did you like that one? I liked it too.
I thought I was like,
Throw your avatar.
Yeah. These 2 though, talking about, we're gonna get them a pension, and we're gonna get them this and that, and they're all like, we died for you guys, and now we doing nothing. Like it's current day our world.
How we treat our military.
It's fascinating, and to me, like that wasn't like the past couple of the episodes we watched before. I'll have something else on. I'll be at my computer. It's over my shoulder. I'm looking at it. This I'm like sitting down, invested for the 2 episodes. So, but I think they probably had a series order of this money thing, and for whatever reason, they wanted to stretch them out, and it's more work for writers. They're writing more episodes, so they get more.
Yeah, it's
money,
true.
so
but I also love the way that they involved Palpatine, though. By the way, like when you do like the difference of how he was kind of thrown into Episode 9 as opposed to this, where it was his plan. Like he knew it.
5 steps ahead.
He used this guy as a scapegoat. Like he knew what this guy was going to do, and he knew that he could use him as a pawn. Yeah. And he knew that once he was able to put it in, that it was the same way that he used Jar Jar to get the the introduction to the Clone Wars.
Someone would have the courage to speak up.
Right.
Jar Jar.
Right. And then so now he does the same thing, but this time coming out as the Emperor, and you're like, and I love that Ian McDiarmid did the voice again. I love that he's back involved in it.
Did it throw you off that it wasn't Jimmy Smits? It wasn't him, was it?
No, it hasn't been. It hasn't been
threw me
animated.
off.
It's Phil Lamar.
This was the first time I
Noticed it?
seen the character. I think.
Oh no, he's been back. He's been back. He was
in Bad Batch.
He was in Jedi. He was in the what's it called? The Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Oh yeah. So maybe it didn't stick out as much, but this stuck out. I was like, but I guess maybe because Ian McDermott was there, I'm just like, And usually when they get them, they're so close in voice. Did Liam Neeson do Qui-Gon?
No, it was his son.
Because it's perfect.
It's his son.
Yeah, I thought it was him.
Yeah.
So it just threw me off. I was like, that's not Jimmy Smits at all.
Yeah.
Smits has got such a distinct voice.
So
it threw me off.
Yeah, I guess I'm just used to Phil Lamar doing it at this point. Okay. So, but I could see. But either way, I thought that I liked the way that they played Bail into this. And after coming off of a show like Andor, this felt like it could have been a spin-off show of Andor. It was in that same kind of vein.
Yeah, totally. Okay. I really like the tone of these episodes. Even it opening up with Omega meditating and calling back to like the Jedi.
Yeah.
Because it was a question for a lot of us if she was Force sensitive. But she's obviously connected to the Force in some way. But she's not Force sensitive.
Right. And I like how they had Rex involved in it and like all that. Because I thought they were gonna bring Cody back in, but they didn't. But the way that they brought Rex in and then was able to explain that. These were the two strongest episodes so far of this show.
Did you get what was her name? Senator Chi-Chi?
I don't remember.
Chi-Chi.
Yeah, but she was good though.
I know, but she reminded me of Omega.
Yeah, they had
I don't know why. If it was maybe I don't think it was the same actress, but I just was like, I don't know why. I thought it was like I was like it can't be the same race or it can't be.
But there are but it just
felt very much like the blonde hair, the way that they talk. I'm just like maybe there's a similarity just in the storyline. Like, hey, we're gonna connect them visually because that way for the audience it'll draw us a connection.
But I liked how they used the character for her to kind of take you through that of someone because you show that not all the politicians are corrupt and other ones that do want to know and do want to help and do care about the clones. And all that in the way that this whole thing came about. And then it does lead into, like I said, there's more episodes. There are a couple, I think that, if I remember correctly, because it's been a little bit now since I watched them, but I think that what happens is you start, I think there's, if I remember, because this is episode 6 and 7 or 5 and 6?
I think it's 7 and 8.
7 and 8?
I
think that there's only maybe 1 or 2 other filler episodes, and then it starts to play into a larger story, if I remember correctly.
That's great.
Yeah, because there's some really great stuff coming.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I think unless it was just me, I only saw 14, and I'm pretty sure there's 16 total. Okay. So what I will say is that when I turned off the 14, I was like, that's it? And then I actively, had I shut it off a couple episodes ago, I'd be like, I don't care this anymore. Now I'm like, I want to see the last 2. So I think it does pick up tremendously, but I do think that this is one of those shows that I think could have been pulled back to maybe 8 to 10 episodes.
Yes, totally.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I totally agree
Fair
with
enough.
that.
Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. We're going to go to this. The next story is the Jedi Survivor. They released like, I don't know what it was. It was 9 minutes of gameplay for Jedi Survivor. It's the sequel to the Fallen Order, and the gameplay looks fantastic. It looks really good. There's some new worlds that Cal is on. They didn't show a lot of story, and that's okay. This has also been pushed back, by the way, by like 2 or 3 weeks, which I think makes sense. I think it comes out right after Mandalorian now, which I think. Do you know that there's only going to be like 2 or 3 weeks of this year where we don't have Star Wars stuff on?
That's great.
If you think about it, like you got Bad Batch on right now, and then Mandalorian, and then this comes out, and then you're going to get Ahsoka, and then you're going to get and then Skeleton Crew. So there's a lot.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot that comes out. But this video, they showed it on IGN. And it looks fun. It looks a lot of fun. It's like the gameplay video shows Cal Kestis and BD-1 making their way around a new planet called Koboth. And according to IGN, the video is set early on in the game when Cal crash lands after a secret mission gone wrong. The planet appears to be a separatist holdout. The video soon shows a Lucre Hulk ship, core parked on the ground and patrols of B1 battle droids, B2 super battle droids, and commando droids roaming the surface. Video also showcases some cool combo moves, execution moves. Fans hoping for slightly less animal killing this time around will at least be revealed to know that the boglings, the hopping fox creatures, are also present on Koboth. We see a few peaceful kangaroo-looking aliens plus a massive creature called Toronto Shell, but it's unclear if they're passive or hostile. In terms of collectibles, Force Echoes returns for a Cal to absorb, and the video shows them collecting a bomber jacket cosmetic for a storage container. It's unclear if he's going to be collecting different types of jackets now instead of ponchos, or if those clothing items will make a return in a slightly more limited capacity. There will be likely a new video showing of more Star Wars Jedi Survivor next week. Okay, so that being said,
Yeah.
this game, what I'm looking forward to is the story on the first one was fantastic, and I have said many times over, if you're brand new to the show, you're going to hear me say it for the first time. If you're not brand new, this will be the millionth time that I've said this. I'm just at that, like, I'm playing The Last of Us right now, right?
Okay.
The Last of Us does the same thing that Uncharted did wonderfully, is if you start going the wrong way, it basically pops up and goes, hint, stupid, go the other way, right?
Okay.
That's talking to guys like me
All right.
that needs it. And Fallen Order, it's like you keep falling off a cliff. Like, I tried to fall off cliffs in Last of Us on purpose, and they won't let you.
Okay.
You can fall off everything in the first one, and it just brings you back, and it won't tell you where to go, and you
It's
spend.
so confusing.
I don't
Okay.
have enough time to spend 3 hours in one little thing talking to cows. I just don't have enough time in my life. So the rumor is that they paid attention to morons like me, and they're just going to help you get through the story of it, even if you put it on easy. It's people like, put
It's
it on
the
easy.
idiot mode, they think.
It's idiot mode,
Yeah.
and I need to be an idiot mode,
Okay.
because I want to play the story, but I still want to play the game, but I don't want
Yeah.
to get frustrated at the game because it's not the game's fault. It's my fault. I understand that.
Okay.
It's not you. It's me.
All right.
I get it. But they apparently it looks great.
Yeah.
I'm sure the story is going to be fun, and I want to know because I heard this rumor a while ago that they were developing this Cal Kestis show, live action.
Yeah.
If this is very popular. If this game hits, and maybe they announce something, at Celebration, I don't know, Steph. So 2 questions: what do you think of the footage, and then do you think that they're going to play into a Cal Kestis series? Because we have not gotten any information. The Disney shareholders thing is today, I think, by the way. But we have got not any information on new series or anything yet.
I think that if the show does great, if the game does great, then yes.
You think we'll get a live action
especially
show?
because of The Last of Us. I think every studio is kind of inspired by The Last of Us, and they're like, okay, so they've done something right with games, and it's like igniting the world.
Yeah.
So how do we do this? And I think Jedi Fallen Order, the story, I agree, was really great. And the person who voiced, I forget his name, but the actor is
Right.
supposed to be playing
Yeah.
the live action,
Yeah.
right?
Cameron
Which I
Moynihan?
think
Yeah.
is great. But I think that like only fuels that fire. So I think that it could be really cool to see Star Wars try to adapt a game into a show.
I think Steph makes a great point here, Mike, that,
Yes.
with Last of Us, for a while leading up, there was video games started to get a little taboo because nobody could crack the code, right?
Right.
And people keep writing, well, I don't know, Sonic did it and Castlevania did it. No. They took a title
Yeah.
and they made their own story, and they were able to be. I mean, even Uncharted was a success, by the way. I know, but it was a success.
Was it though?
But it made a lot of money, is the point. So in business terms. But as far as adaptation,
Yeah.
the best adaptation I've seen of video games so far at all has been The Last of Us. Like, Max Payne was ruined. All these other things were ruined. This was, when you watch The Last of Us, there are things about The Last of Us that are taken directly from the game, and then they spin off and do their own thing as well, too. Do you think that now, my point that Steph made, I thought was really well made, was that Lucasfilm goes, okay, this is a very popular game twice, and now we can do what they did in a live action series with this Cal Kestis kid, and you get someone like Cameron Moynihan. What do you do? Do you do it?
I think the code of video game movies and whatnot is cracked because it's long form storytelling. Video games minimum 10, 12 hours.
Agreed.
And to cram that in 2 hours is awful.
Yep.
I'll say this to the blue in the face: a Mortal Kombat series set in a Game of Thrones type
Oh, it'd be
setting
great.
would be incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Star Wars thing. I think it's fans love it. They love this guy. They love this character, this actor in this role.
He's a great actor.
So I think that to me was a shoo-in. When you were listing those things back in the day of like a Lando show.
Yeah.
No,
right.
this thing.
I want to see him pop though too, because he was in
Right.
Shameless, wasn't he?
Yes.
He was in Shameless,
Yes.
and his brother,
He was
and
the
his
Joker
brother
in Gotham.
Well,
That was
yeah,
his
and
show.
his brother in Shameless is the kid in The Bear. right?
Yes.
So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I want to see those. I want to see them both
and
shine.
The kid's a great actor.
Yeah.
So
Isn't that the same actor
I say kid, but he's
from
Doing Isaac.
that was in Andor? No.
In the Bear, the cousin.
The cousin.
is
Okay,
in
okay,
Andor.
yeah. Yes.
So either way,
it's a given.
yeah,
It's a great.
I'm excited to see it
That's fun.
potentially happen. So,
But with Star Wars fans and whatnot, because they love the game so much,
yeah,
do they want the game adapted into a show, or do they want what Last of Us is doing and take its inspiration and tell its own story?
No, but remember but I think it's do what The Last of Us is doing, and that is remember. So, did you play Last of Us?
Let me tell you about that game.
No. I don't need a full thing. I just need if you play.
I played the first 15 minutes and
There you
I
go.
was stuck, couldn't get out of a ditch with a ladder, and I was like, because I
then
compared it to
if I
Uncharted.
figured out you're an
Hold
idiot.
on, it's between the two of those by the same company, Naughty Dog, this and that. I was like, nope, I'm Uncharted.
All right. Well, I figured
Last
it out.
of Us was like, I'm gonna creep
if-
behind
if
this
I-
dumpster with this ladder, and I gotta get out of this ditch for 20
I couldn't
minutes.
figure
I was
it
like,
out,
nope.
if I couldn't figure it out, then I'd be like, all right, listen. But I figured it out, and I'm a moron when it comes to games. So, and you play it all
Thanks,
the time in
Brett.
your underwear.
Thank you.
So you couldn't figure it out.
I don't
either?
even wear my underwear. I play
Brett figured it out too, and Brett's a moron too. So you're
But
out of this.
Aren't all the people who played Last of Us saying that it's staying really true to story?
So
while
that was
making-
my point before we got into the latter conversation. I will say that what I thought after I haven't played the game all the way through yet because I don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah.
So what I have noticed from playing is that there are stuff that they pull directly from the game.
Yeah.
And then having the creator involved then goes, well, let's veer off a little bit. We'll stay true to what the show is and what the game is,
Well-
but let's veer off. And there's a scene in episode 4 that is pulled directly from the game. I mean, directly. It's pretty much word for word, shot for shot. And then
Is that when they're in the car?
yes,
The comic?
yes, and then it veers off magazine, but then it veers off
you know what it
to another. Instead of going, I think they go to it's Pittsburgh. They go to in the game, they go to Kansas City, and they do other things, right? So they're telling you. So I have no problem if it's in Jedi Fallen Order. They make the game, but the difference is what they might do because of Star Wars canon. I think that they should make it big. I've talked about this many times on this show. Make an announcement that we're no longer sticking to canon anymore because you've decided that doesn't count anymore, right? So adapt your game however you want, but veer off if you need to. Veer off a little bit from the game. It's fine, and I think as long as you stay true to the essence of who Cal Kestis is, that fans aren't. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I agree. Like I always watch. This is when I know I'm obsessed with the show when I watch the after
Yeah, me
part
too,
on
yeah.
HBO, and I love the way the creators talk about their decision making on The Last of Us. Because certain things in the game really worked, but for storytelling for TV, it wouldn't have worked.
Right.
Like how some of the spores would spread out.
Yeah.
It's like that would ruin some of the action.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of having the creator on board. And I think that's something that I wonder if Lucasfilm would be able to do because for God's sakes, they don't even put the damn writers of books in writers' room, which is so stupid. It's like if you're gonna make the game, bring in the writers of the game
Right.
to collaborate with
Right.
screenwriters and everyone else. Don't just say, well, thanks, we own that. We'll take it from here. That is what the common mistake of video games
That's
have been
so
in the
weird,
past.
right?
It's an ego thing a lot of times.
Yeah.
It truly is.
It's an elitist thing.
The filmmaking
Yeah.
industry. There were for years, people are always like, why are you not bringing Bruce Timm and Eric Radomski?
guys. We're the film
Well, the Batman the Animated Series guys
Stupid.
and Paul Dini, like these guys, they created the greatest iteration of Batman of all time into the movie rooms. Like, that's animation. Keep over there. It's like
story. A
it's
good story.
so-
A good story is a good story, and characters
Luckily-
pop for a reason.
It seems nowadays these creatives are now taking more chances. Like, no, these are the guys that know the characters. Bring them in. Let's
Yeah.
hear their voices.
It's happening more often, and I wish
needs
that,
to.
like I said, I'm going to say it on this show every time we can. So hopefully that one day it comes to fruition. That when you start to do these writers' rooms, as we start to see in the Acolyte and everything else too, I hope someone like a Leslie Headland, if Acolyte goes to the second season, brings in someone like a Claudia Gray or a Drew Karpyshyn or somebody along, especially a Drew Karpyshyn who's played in the old Republic era, and brings in people who have worked on books to go, okay, what are those stories? And let them lend their voice too, because those authors, and then if they're going to make these video game adaptations, bring in the writers of those games. If you're going to do Old Republic, bring in Drew Karpyshyn who helped create Revan, right? Like, do that stuff and don't say, oh, well, we don't need those guys. They helped us create it, but we got the really professionals. Now, that's the elitist, stupid, old school
we
attitude.
got the guy that just won the Academy Award for Tar. He's going to do our Star Wars movie. You're laughing because it's true. It's like
Right.
they
Right.
see that gold statue and the acclaim.
Just
but it might not
Who's
have
the
any idea
hot
of the
director?
character.
Who's
Right.
the hot
Yeah,
writer?
yeah.
Who's
Exactly.
who's got
And
the
that's
acclaims?
okay.
It's
That's okay, but you gotta have.
Yeah, and
you gotta have the balance.
That guy might be a Star Wars fanatic. Who knows?
Sure.
I mean, again, when you say Tony Gilroy,
Yeah.
but Tony Gilroy should be the gold standard in the side of not on the how he shot it, not on everything else because that was all brilliant. It was how he collaborated.
Collaboration.
It's the collaboration with the actors. It's the collaboration with the story. It's a collaboration with the team. That's why it worked.
Right.
Because it was a collaboration where he just didn't decide to do his own thing.
Yeah.
It was his thing, but he made it work inside of this world that even when something in the beginning, it looks like Blade Runner, but it still feels like Star Wars. Yeah. And like that's the reason why it's been nominated for these awards. That's why it wasn't just because of the brilliant writing and acting, which it all had. It's because of those little details. Of like Mon Mothma having that conversation with her daughter and having and understanding like little things that are put in there about things that have happened in the past, and because it's like Tony Gilroy doesn't necessarily know, but the writers will, and you trust in his writers in the same way that if you're going to run a division, you trust in everybody and not just go, well, you know what? You guys think that idea would work? I don't know if that's going to work because it hasn't worked in the past, and the production says back in 1986. Stop that. Trust in your production. Just stop that. Trust in the production of your team. And I'll tell you what you guys need to trust in. Athletic Greens. I'll tell you right now. Athletic Greens. It's the best. I love Athletic Greens. I love Athletic Greens. You guys know how much I love Athletic Greens. I've been talking about them forever. And I'm so glad that you guys have been. I mean, I get comments now all the time of everybody who's been checking them out and everybody who's been using Athletic Greens. I love AG1. I mean, I really do. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens like every day. It's been giving me a big boost of energy. And I tried it because I'm not a big vitamins guy. I don't like 75 different vitamins. I wanted one. I hated taking pills and vitamins. I wanted a supplement that tastes great. And it really does taste good. I had my little 5-year-old. I said, Maisie, come here, smell this. What does it smell like? She's like, ooh, like fruit punch. I said, yeah, it smells like fruit punch. Looks like grass, but it doesn't taste like it. And it's really good. I love it. It's the healthiest thing that you can do in under a minute. AG1 is powerful because it's so easy to fit into your lifestyle. I just put it into a water bottle. I shake it around. That's it. It's great. It's an all-in-one formula. And you cover everything with one shot. It's delivered to you every month. Very easy to make a daily habit. And if you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. You go to athleticgreens.com/bigthing. athleticgreens.com/bigthing. Thanks again to our friends over at Athletic Greens. If you want to help yourself, you want to help the show, get yourself some Athletic Greens. We're so excited to have them back on the show. Always excited to have them. AG1, make sure you check them out and use that code, athleticgreens.com/bigthing. People ask all the time how you help out the show. That is how you help. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, let's get into, speaking to you guys, we got some questions. Let's get into some questions.
Questiones.
Yeah. John Jackala, with the ending of the latest Bad Batch episode, do you think that opens up an Echo Rex live action appearance in Ahsoka would be an interesting tie-in, as would a Margot Robbie as Omega appearance? I don't think there's any shot in hell you get Omega or Margot Robbie, but I do think you could go to Vegas and put $100 and win some money if you bet on Rex showing up for sure. I think Rex shows up. Yeah, I don't think Echo as much, but I think Rex, because Rex is, I think anybody, because Echo's nowhere to be found during Rebels, is he?
I don't think so. Rex just is also because of the nature of his relationship with Ahsoka.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much a guarantee that this is going to be the next season of Rebels, except that instead of animation, it's live action. I think you're going to see everybody inside. I think you're going to see Zeb. I think you're going to see Hera. I think you're going to see everybody. Speaking of Hera real quick, and we'll go back to that question. Did you guys hear the rumor, and this could be just a rumor, but replacing the role of Cara Dune in Mandalorian is Hera? Have you heard this?
No.
I've not heard that at all.
Yeah,
That's not going to go over well at all.
I would be stoked.
Is that? It's coming from, I don't know
It's
where
a
it's
text.
Coming. Is it a text?
Yeah.
But I don't have a damn Bluetooth on.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's not a text.
Oh.
I don't know what that is.
Brett's pooping.
It's driving me nuts.
Yeah, it's a Geopet.
It's driving me nuts.
I'm hungry.
Turning it off. But anyway, yeah.
Geopet.
So
I would be stoked.
Yeah, I don't necessarily
Well, I don't
know.
even. I personally, I'm good with them focusing on Katie Sackhoff's character,
Yeah.
on the rest of the Mandalorians that are around, and Din and Grogu. I don't really need, and all the other characters that we have already. I'm so good with like never thinking about Cara Dune's character again.
But I mean, look, I love the character of Cara Dune. I thought she served well, and I think that once everything went down, with that whole scenario, that someone had asked, "Do you think they're ever going to replace that Rangers of the New Republic?" They already did. It's Skeleton Crew. I mean, that Skeleton Crew.
Well, I mean,
Right.
the slot was replaced. Yeah.
Of
not,
what?
Not
that
concept.
That show, and you go back and you watch Kathleen Kennedy's announcement about how it was supposed to set up this signature event. When she announced it at the investors meeting at 2020, she said it's going to Rangers of the New Republic, which will set up this epic kind of big event. I think that once it all went down and they lost the Rangers of the New Republic show, they scrapped it and they said, all right, what do we develop? And I think that whatever your fantasy scenario is, that maybe on the set of No Way Home, John Watts and Favreau started talking. And he's like, why don't let's develop something? And then here comes the Skeleton Crew, and then that fits the spot of Rangers. So either way, all that happens, and I think that it's interesting. I don't know where do we spawn from? I lost my train.
The question.
The
original question with Hera getting.
Yeah, as far as Hera goes, I think that.
But I don't know.
The only reason I think that if you're gonna do that, first of all, you got to show Jason Solo. If that's Jason Solo, Jason is her son. So if that's the case, you got to show Jason because this is afterwards, and so she's got the kid, and maybe you don't necessarily have to show him, but you could, and that's a way to introduce her to the audience. If she shows up in The Mandalorian, is a way to introduce her then
put her in
Ahsoka, because if you haven't watched Rebels and you watch The Mandalorian, you'll know who she is.
That's true. Yeah, she might be like in an episode. Do I think she would be a reoccurring character? I think they have way too much to tackle, but who's to say?
Well, yeah, but I mean, look, they're bringing in. I mean, you just never know if how he gets introduced to her. And I think that remember also rumors are that Hera is Elizabeth Winstead. So if you,
I can't believe that hasn't been confirmed yet. How is that
saving it? They're saving it, but like
we all know.
I mean, I think that if you're gonna, maybe it's because they're saving it because they want her to show up in Mandalorian. Who knows? But as far as Rex going, that kind of ties into everything else.
Do you think with Rex and Tamora Morrison, you think they're going to do some digital stuff to his face? I think you have to, because what I love about the show,
he's older. He's supposed to be older.
What I love about the Clone Wars and Rebels and all this, and we've seen is every time we see these troopers. They all look like the same, but they're different. Yeah. They do vastly different things. Some are thinner, heavier, gaunt. Mm-hmm. Some have hair. Right. I love that. I think you need to maybe do a little, do some different in his face.
Yeah, there's so many filters they can put on. Like I was just watching Bullet Train for the first time. There's some scenes where they didn't like fully retouch Brad Pitt's face, and you can see the smooth that they do under his eyes.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
what
watch
do they do?
They put older actors do this, probably younger actors too. They put a smooth filter on their face, and sometimes if they don't fully edit it or render it, you can see the blur, and they blur under the eyes. Like that's the most like identifiable place because it is like the first place I feel like people age. Mm-hmm. So you could do so many things that are easy. Like, and then if he's in a mask half the time, like
he's supposed to be a little older though,
right?
At that point, he's supposed to be. I mean,
rewatch it.
Yeah,
are we?
Go ahead.
Yeah, look at any.
Let's get hung up on this. Go ahead. What do you got?
Right.
What's your?
I'm indulging in the conversation here.
Sure,
Shut up. Let's go on.
Beauty filters. Get into it.
Yeah.
I don't believe in this.
No one believes in it.
You think I just made that up?
Yeah. I know you believe. I know you didn't make it up. I 100% believe it's true. I don't believe in it though.
Oh, you think they should just be shot how they look?
Well, it goes back to the day when they used to put Vaseline on the lens.
Oh, yeah.
Or they would put a stretch pantyhose over it for the ladies. It's a softer filter.
Huh?
Yeah. The Top Gun guy? They better not do anything to him.
They already have.
They already have. I bet you they do that filter.
He's with the aliens. All right, let's go.
Damn it.
Let's go to the next one. John Crum. Ha! Crum laughs at you.
What?
Crum laughs at you.
What's that? Oh,
it's from Conan.
Crum.
I know, but his name is John Crum.
Jeez.
So I said,
I didn't even get the first joke.
That's my IG. I have to.
Ha! Crum laughs at you. With Tales of the Jedi being a big hit, do you think that Lucasfilm would do a live-action anthology series taking place all the way throughout the saga? This could be a way to integrate more Legends content into canon. What do you think? I love the show and all the weekly content on the channel. Thank you, John. Do you think that there'll be live act? Do you think that it could happen throughout the saga? I mean, listen, I hope so.
Yeah.
Anything is possible inside of it. And I think that there's still, we want to cross our fingers that they're gonna, as Mike says, and this is where I agree with Mike, where it's like
For the first time.
but let's just stop playing in one area, and that's why I'm so excited again about the Acolyte. We're going into an area that we haven't explored.
Yeah.
This is way before the prequels, like 100 years or something before the prequels. Everything else is in the same area. I mean, the Filoni Favreau universe is right in the area of like 5 years or something after Jedi. Obi-Wan around the same area of the right a little after the prequels, and then you get Andor, which is right before Rogue One. It's like we haven't explored. That's why even the Lindelof stuff is exciting, because it's
Way
the unknown.
forward.
It's the unknown.
That's the Outer Region stuff, right?
No,
It's
that's
after
Unknown Regions
9.
is the Filoni Favreau universe of the Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew.
Got Skeleton Crew.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
yes.
which is also, but that's a good point
still.
though. It's also interesting because we're exploring new things, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think that doing something like this and exploring the time, and like I've told you, like, this is the thing that I would love for them to do, is just a show, and I would love to see it as a live action show. But if they do it animated, fine. But just a show called the Star Wars Show, and it's like
Just call it the Star Wars Show.
because, or not the Star, but it's just called Star Wars, whatever it is. But what I mean is this:
Yeah.
it doesn't. Any episode could be at any period in time.
Yeah.
So if it opens up, it could be a 3-episode arc similar to Andor, where it could take place in the Old Republic.
So-
but the next one could be a 2-episode arc similar to Tales of the Jedi.
So
right?
Tales
Or
of
like what if, but
So
like
Tales
actually
of
not
Star
what
Wars.
if.
yeah,
Tales of
right. You can call it whatever you
Right,
want
I
to
see
say,
what you're
but I'm
saying.
just
So like
but
an
I'm-
anthology
yeah.
set, like let creators come in and do any period.
It's the Star, and the way you're telling them is it's the Star. You don't have to call it the Star Wars Show, but you're saying it's
Yeah, I
the
get
Star
you.
Wars Show, where you're like, okay, look, I have 2 episodes that I want to do about like a band of brothers from like Alexander Freed's book that he did from Battlefront, right?
Yeah.
And you just have like this, and that's what the 2 episodes are. And then the next episode is about a Sith apprentice, and the next episode is about this, and it's just like you're just watching it for these particular episodes.
I'd love that, but I can see if that were to go, the creatives would want to find some way to weave it all together.
Yeah, I mean,
And I think that's a mistake. So that's the problem, where it never gets past the stage where we're talking
Right.
right now. It's like, nah, forget it.
Yeah,
Let's
but
move on to
imagine,
something else.
imagine if you had that show,
I know.
and then you're like, hey, listen, I want to do 3 episodes of Boba Fett. Just imagine there is no Boba Fett show. There's no there is no Boba Fett show, and there's this show that exists. And they're like, I want to do 3 episodes of seeing what has happened to Boba Fett since his tales with Mandalorian, and it's a 3-episode gangster thing. And then if it goes well, then we'll revisit it in a couple of months or
I'll
a
tell
couple
you this,
years.
And it's one of the reasons why it's not on people's lists anymore, top list, is What If. When that was
I know.
announced,
Yeah, I know.
the comic was awesome because
Yeah.
it was standalone issues. If you didn't like this one, next week it's something different.
Right.
They had to put the through line and connect it, and it's the multiverse and this and that. And people don't care about that show. What If? When you ask season 2, everyone's like, when's Cap 4 coming out?
Right.
Like, they don't care about it. So it's a tough thing with something
It's
like
also
that.
animated too.
I know.
sometimes, too.
I know it
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
So that Star Wars thing, I think it's, what was his name, John?
That was
Crum.
Crum last.
I think it's a fantastic idea. I think
Yeah.
it would work great. I could see them going, well, we'll just make it animated and
Yeah.
just keep it there.
Oh, that's yeah.
I know,
We're on the same page. He and I. All right, let's go to the next question here. Thank you, John. That would be there's a ton of them.
Oh,
All
boy.
right, there we go. We'll start from here. So, Richard Geng, how do you interpret the phrase "a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away"? I mean, that's why I always tell people anytime people bring up the whole, hey, it would be great if they did if Marvel was in Star Wars. And I said, no, for a lot of different reasons. 1, no. And 2, because it's a long time ago, meaning that if you went to Earth, the dinosaurs might not even be on the planet at this point, because it's a long time ago. Time works differently, and in a galaxy far, far away. So, yeah, eventually I hope that they don't explore Earth. I really don't want them to ever go to Earth.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, ever.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I don't know if I've ever thought about it. We look at the galaxies and all the different those telescopes that have shown us pictures recently, and it's just like, but I don't think I've ever even thought of Earth
Existing. In it, right? Yeah, I know.
I've always just thought their humans are basic, or the basic language that's what we are. So
yeah,
I never thought Earth even exists in that world.
right. What do you think?
I
Steph?
just don't think Earth exists.
I think it's just like clear your mind. because we're gonna go somewhere completely different, and I don't even want you to think about your home planet.
Yeah.
And like time moves differently.
Yeah.
Like it's just like a palate cleanser.
And
like, whoop.
I love the fact that Star Wars has not gone into time travel yet. They haven't, right?
Yeah,
book?
Rebels. And I think they'll probably do it again in Ahsoka.
Okay, see, I don't.
But they did it, I think, in a good way.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
what it worked, and
Wasn't
this will
too
be a spoiler.
complicated.
No, it wasn't. This will be a spoiler for people who haven't seen Rebels. But so I think it's in season 2. Ahsoka fights Vader,
Okay.
and it's a really emotional kind of. It's a great
so
battle, and then
good.
they basically did the same thing for Obi-Wan. That's why it had less of an impact for me, where he slashed. You know, when Obi-Wan slashes the helmet, you
face
see
is
the
there,
face.
and she sees
It's exactly
Anakin.
what Ahsoka does, and that's why it had less of an impact.
Did
for me as
Ahsoka know
well.
that was Anakin or no?
It's when she finds out. Like she had like so when he kind of senses her in one of the episodes, and she's kind of she feels it, but then when she sees his face, she's like Anakin. And then when she realizes he's far gone, then she fights him.
Yeah, because she finds out in the end of Clone Wars, and then but she's never faced him until Rebels.
Okay. And they face each other. They have this battle, and then at the end of it, you don't know what happens to her. You kind of think that she's either dead or you don't know what happened. He walks out of it. He's like limping out, but he's made it out.
Yeah.
And it's a really great moment. But everyone's like, well, what's happened to Ahsoka? Nobody knew for a while, and they kind of teased it. And it turns out that in the season finale, there's this thing, the world between worlds, which again, I always say, I understand when people go time travel shouldn't happen in Star Wars, and a lot of times 99% of the time agree.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this. It's when you compare it to like Marvel and DC who use it, Star Wars is the only thing because of time and space and the way it works that it would make the most sense because of the mechanics of space and time. So and I always say if you think about like Interstellar and when he goes to that planet and how like time works just so differently, when you're in different planets, time works differently. So time travel would make more sense in Star Wars and Star Trek and all that. But anyway, so in Rebels, Ezra, who's the main character, goes through this thing where time kind of stops, and he sees inside of one of these portals. He sees the fight with Ahsoka and Vader, and as Vader's about to kill her, he pulls her into the thing, and that's why she disappears because he saved her, and that's how.
How did he create that portal?
It already existed. I think Yoda shows him the way through that. I think I got to go back. I'm gonna rewatch it before Ahsoka.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's something that we
You
should
should
rewatch.
watch
Yeah, I haven't
Rebels.
watched it in a while, but that's what I gathered from
so
it.
good.
The world between worlds, and I think
Is it season 2? I think it's season
2 is when they fight.
Yeah, and then it's season 3
It's
or
like
4.
it's like the last season.
right.
when
It's
World
season 4.
Between
Yeah, I'm
Worlds,
not there yet because I just am at.
Oh, you haven't finished? I just spoiled it.
my
for you.
no.
Oh, okay.
I'm on a rewatch.
Oh, okay.
I'm on season 3, so I just got to the Sabine Mandalore.
Great. Yeah, I'm gonna
Which is, like,
rewatch as well too.
epic.
Especially before Ahsoka, because like I said, I really do recommend before Ahsoka you watch Rebels.
I agree. It's so good, Mike.
It's good, and it's
Okay.
also because this is the next season. This is a season of Rebels. I mean,
Okay.
it really
You
is.
can look up, I think, like some like websites have like must watch episodes. Like there's some that you don't need to watch.
Yeah.
They're like adventures,
Yeah.
but not that many are adventure of the week.
All right, let's go. I don't think there's a lot of it at all. in
No,
this
not
show.
at all.
Yeah.
There's probably like 5, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying if you want to save time.
FJ DeRobertis, do you think we will ever see the Star Wars opening crawl again? It's a really sad question. Because
That is a great question.
It's a great question, but it's a sad question because I hate the answer, and the answer is no for a long time because, again, putting things in definites and putting things in saying we're not going to use the crawl because the crawl is designated for the saga series. Well, they're saying there's no more of those episodes for a while, right? So there's no episode 10 anytime soon. I think that the Star Wars crawl should be in every damn movie.
I agree.
Every damn movie. It's part of Star Wars. Every damn movie, it should be part of it. Just telling a story of this is it with the music and everything too, and leading into it. Every damn movie should have the Star Wars music, and lead into it, and then give it its own music. If it's a standalone thing, give it its own thing. But the crawl and everything is synonymous to Star Wars. I think it was an absolute mistake to take it away.
Yeah, and I think it gives them an advantage. Like, not every movie can pull off having a crawl because you're like, oh, you just want to give us exposition so you can get straight into
Right.
it. They can get away with that.
Because it's Star Wars.
It's Star Wars.
Right.
So now you can give us all this information instead of spending time and wasting film time showing it.
People would lose their minds if they. I'll tell you, this is a way to get the audience back though. In a certain aspect, if Lindelof starts his new movie with the crawl and they start reintroducing the crawl, the audience will go, okay, it's back. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, people don't realize how much it's missed. What do
Right.
you think?
I don't think we're ever getting it back. I
Right.
think
Oh my
I think it's the Star Wars. I think it's the Skywalker saga.
Yeah, that's what
You missed it when you didn't do it for Rogue or Solo.
So you don't think? Yeah, I agree with you. I just think that, but don't you
For
think that
me-
you can win it back if you put
I don't
it
know
back?
because for me it was always the 20th Century Fox fanfare. We don't get that anymore.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, but that's
Don't get that with the TV shows. So for me to hold on to that, it's Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
The Fox logo, the crawl, that was Star Wars for me. So we moved past that.
But it's a
now for
storytelling
me,
mechanism.
Now for me with
It
the
is.
TV shows, it's the masks with the light flashing across.
Right.
Like that.
I understand for the TV shows
That's
though,
a
you don't need it.
logo.
Yeah, no, but I know what
But
he's
it's
saying.
just the
though.
whole
Yeah.
thing. It's
but I
the
understand what
whole
you mean
thing.
too. It's a storytelling. I think you're both making points. So to you, it's like when we were younger,
Yeah.
the Fox logo, the dun, 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 the beginning,
Yeah.
it was what we recognized Star Wars with. But
Yeah.
I think Steph's point is that it is also a way to really kind of get you into the story, and especially something like the Lindelof thing, which takes place supposedly after episode 9. What a way to say, hey, this is what's been going on since then.
They're gonna
and
do
now-
it.
Yeah, you think so?
But then what's the difference then? Why are you not doing it for the TV shows?
I don't think you need it
if
for the
like you had
TV
said,
shows.
you want more connectivity between
Yeah.
all your properties.
I mean, you could.
That's
You-
either one way to do it all, but at this point, ships have sailed on different properties.
If it
so
was
just
up to
doesn't
me,
work
I would
anymore.
include it on every damn thing to make it because it's our thing.
It needs to be one or the other. It needs to be not just movies, TV,
Yeah. And when I say-
animated, everything, or nothing.
I don't
What I
agree
mean,
with
what I
that.
mean by that, I don't agree with that either. But
Why
I think
not?
because I think you
it's
can make
like
it
if
synonymous
was
for movies.
every episode, you'd be like, I know.
Oh
what-
yeah, not every episode.
like,
You're talking about the first
perhaps
episode
I'm saying
of
the
the
first
series.
episode of a show. Because then
Yeah.
you're telling the story that started with that first
Right.
episode. It's still the long story.
But you have a whole season to tell the story. They have 2 hours.
Yeah,
You still could set up stuff.
I
Totally. I'm
yeah.
not saying you. I wouldn't be mad. I don't think they need to do
Like
that.
Skeleton
Yeah.
Crew. Let me know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, look, you could make it work, but I also think that for films, though, you could say it's to me, it makes more sense if they said, because when I say our thing, I'm talking about Lucasfilm. Like if they're like, hey, look, nobody else does this. The crawl's our thing. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Like let's do that for the movies. Let's bring it back, and then for each movie that we do. But we save it for the movies, and I can understand that they said that. They're like, okay,
Yeah, I
the
can
TV,
see that.
and they're like, it's a movie thing, like because that would take the pill would be easier to swallow if they're like, hey, we're getting rid of the crawl for TV. It doesn't make sense for TV because TV we're gonna get right into it, and we're gonna move, and then you guys
Right.
But for movies, it's always been our thing, and we feel like it's been missing. What I hope that they don't feel like is we already said that we can't do it. So, and it would save for the Star Wars saga, so we kind of shot ourselves in the foot. It's like, yeah, people will
Who
be
cares?
you can be forgiven.
You know what I say then to
Yeah.
that? I agree. I think you go back and Rogue One and Solo put one in.
They would never do that.
I know they never will,
No,
but
I know.
hey,
I know.
they look at what they went back and redid. How many times they redid the first 3 films?
Well, that was
But
Lucas.
those
though.
are-
I know,
like-
but just
No.
throw it on there.
Also, those are specifically wedged in storylines. Like they're prequels, basically, right? To the storylines that we already have. Like, I think it's okay if you're going to have Lindelof going in the future to be like, Rey has been doing this. Like, this is where,
But
like,
you
what?
make a great point with that, where you're like, Rey has been doing this. Palpatine's return.
Right.
How? Those crawls were used to
No, it wasn't. yeah.
cover crap that we're like, what?
Right. No,
What?
Yeah,
listen.
yeah,
listen.
that
I'm-
wasn't
I'm-
great. That's a,
Palpatine's return.
How?
yeah.
Right.
How?
Well, I mean,
Right.
that was. I mean, look, those aren't even. Lucas didn't create the crawls. The crawls are from like the 1940s
Oh, of course,
Flash
they're-
Gordon
they're-
stuff and all
yes,
that
of
stuff.
course.
So like that's why maybe they feel like it's a dated thing, but I think it's just so. I don't know. It's just we'll see. But it's a great question.
Yeah.
Craig McRobbie at the upcoming Celebration event. Do you believe that Lucasfilm must really pull out all the stops for the Acolyte as they've done nothing at all to hype it up or get the word out on it? Thank you. I mean,
Did
yeah.
you write that yourself
I
and just
know.
use that name right there?
100%.
I think you did.
Craig.
I know. Yeah, you can call me Craig. Yeah, they have to. I mean, they have to. I think at this point, though, they're filming. They've been filming for 3 months.
Yeah. They're going to get the whole cast up there.
Everything.
It's going to be
They're going to
really
show a trailer.
great. Right.
Yeah. I
Fully.
think they show a trailer because I mean, look, the show at that point will be 4 months, 5 months, and probably wrapped, and they'll have something that they can put together. That might be exclusive to Celebration.
Yep.
That might not be anything that the public gets.
Right.
It's shooting in England too, isn't it?
Yeah. So they'll have.
Oh,
Something.
yeah.
Yeah, they'll have something.
I was going to say, if it wasn't shooting in England, I don't know.
It's remember this though too. Another reason why.
I don't know. But if it's England, the
Yeah.
cast is there. Yeah,
And-
it's going to be huge.
And I want to make this clear. It wasn't that they didn't show trailers. It wasn't that they didn't show anything. That's not the issue that I think any of us had on this panel about why they. It was that it wasn't even acknowledged. It wasn't even even when they mentioned like the Daredevil series isn't coming out for like another 2 or 3 years or something, but they mentioned it. They talked about it at D23. Kevin Feige was another one of the things that we have, and they mentioned all the projects that they had. And it wasn't like one of these things where like, well, we don't know if the show's even going to happen, so we're not going to mention it. It was about to shoot. Yeah. And you didn't even get an announcement from Amanda Stenberg until they were on the red carpet at Comic-Con. It wasn't D23. It wasn't Star Wars Celebration. It wasn't even mentioned. And they showed Willow. So at Star Wars Celebration. So it's like
that was a weird thing.
It was weird. Yeah. It's like D23. I understand why Willow was there. It makes sense. It's a D23. It's a Disney Plus thing, but it's like a Lucasfilm announcement panel, and they don't even talk about it. So the same would go like they've got to talk about the Acolyte because it's also the only game in town in 2024 right now. I mean, Andor Season 2 will most likely be announced at Star Wars Celebration, and then something else to fill the void, unless Iger, because Chapek was the one like streaming everything. You have 75 shows this year. Yeah. Maybe Iger goes, let's just release 2 next year, and then work on the movie. Right. Where do you think we're going to land, Steph?
Yeah, I think that now it's like we've always talked about the showmanship of Marvel and like their announcements. Now you have James Gunn who's like connecting with the audience in a different and great way too. Like people love it. I think that they can't. I don't know. You just have to be kind of like really out of touch not to pick up on it now. Like everybody's getting their ducks in a row, right? And so I think they'll have some sort of plan, like whether it be announcing 2 shows and more movies, or giving like really, really great, like get excited for this.
You know what I think they need to start doing also too is like, and I'm not going to be on this the train of everyone go Kennedy needs to go, but what I think Kennedy needs to stop doing, she needs to stop making the announcements. I think let Filoni or Favreau or somebody else make the announcements, and because to me, when you're at Celebration and she walks out, it seems like a TED Talk. It seems like, a presentation.
She's not a showman.
No, and she doesn't seem like one of the fans, right? She doesn't seem like, it seems like, oh, here's our announcement of what go back and watch that announcement when she has this when she's talking about the Knights of the Republic, the Rangers of the Republic and how it ties in. She's reading off a prompter. It doesn't seem like she gives a shit about it, right? Yeah. And then you have like whether it's Filoni, Favreau, anybody that else to make or find someone new, whoever he or she might be, and you have them say, "We've got this." Like you said, James Gunn comes out and goes, "We got this thing. We got this. We have this. We have the writers in the room who are doing this and this and that."
I'm writing this. Like we already started this.
Yeah. Whatever. Like, and we're so excited to be able to them doing. And it's like if Filoni was the one making the announcements, and it could be Kennedy's objective. If it was all Kennedy's thing, but Filoni's making that announcement, it's one of the, oh, wow, he seems pretty excited about that. It just doesn't seem as genuinely connected. And I think that's one of the issues.
Filoni strikes me as the kind of guy who doesn't want to announce anything until it's announced.
100%.
Every time he's
100%.
Like, you're going to make me say this, aren't you?
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about
I think a bit of that is a show.
He's not the guy to talk. And I don't know. Favreau, I would think, would be your guy.
Favreau's probably the guy.
He's the guy that you got to do.
But you get what I'm saying, though. But yes, but I mean,
I know exactly what you're saying. She
totally
is an executive that was in a position of these nerd properties,
right? And it's like, and I'm not saying
she'd be great. I'm sure Show West, like the big thing talking about Indy 5, and this is our slate, and this is what we've got.
When she is talking to the investors,
yes,
that's who she'd be making.
That's
she
the
runs
language
the company.
she talks
to the investors,
and they're like. Okay, they're writing it down.
Star Wars Celebration,
it's a different animal.
It's like the president of the Academy coming out of the Academy Awards. Get out of here, because we get out of here. Get out.
The industry's changed, like when punch yourself.
I did that last week.
Like now with social media and the connections that the fans have with the creators, you have to be a showman.
Or just connect,
or have a show. I'm saying like hire someone. You're communicating to the audience. They want to be involved with your project.
Yes, 100%. But you also want to feel like, well, that's one of us.
Right.
Feige and Gunn feel like one of the peeps. And again, it doesn't matter who it is. It just got to feel like, again, he or she needs to feel like
they have to be
one of us.
Genuine.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
If it's a figurehead that comes out there, if they hire some guy to be the Star Wars guy and he doesn't,
it's got to feel.
You've got to know. It happens with actors when they come out and say, "I'm so excited! I've been a Star Wars fan since I was a kid, and now I get to play in the sandbox."
If you feel like you're reading a teleprompter, if you feel like you're reading it as a, and that's why I said like one of the big things about that DC announcement was when the announcement of the thing that stood out to me the most was talking about those writer rooms and saying who was in the rooms. People from movies and TVs and comic book writers and all these people in the room who are adding their voices to it. And that's what I hope for with Star Wars. But let's get to actually I got to wrap. All right. I realize I got something I got to do. So guys, thank you so much for joining us here today on Sith Council. We'll be on Spotify, podcasts, anywhere. Podcasts are found, patreon.com. Get yourself one of those shirts. Again, it's a very abrupt ending. I apologize. But for Steph Sabra and Mike Kalinowski, this is Sith Council. We love you guys. Appreciate you. And we will see you on the flip side. Appreciate you. Bye.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.